Hey, how's it going? Today is 16th of April, Tuesday, and we are taking a look at the market, what kind of opportunities we can find in the city. Let's take a look at some of the perhaps business opportunities that would be new funding to unlock future winemaking talent. Future winemaker scheme will help domestic wine sector to continue its success. Let's try to understand it, what this article is all about. Briefly, I can take a look at historical data and perhaps many markets up there. So let's say you're interested in this opportunity, right? And you setting up everything, you're setting up a business, hiring people, purchasing a lot of equipment, and then 2 years in or so, government will change its stance with some of the partnership agreements with other governments where you potentially would be exporting a lot of wine, right? Take it as a cautionary tale, right? So let's take a look at perhaps historical data of what happened previously, not that long ago, about some of those markets. Once we take a look at that, we can come back to this opportunity then. For people who don't know, I think that's a market and that's what's really happening, right? So let's take a look at this cautionary tale before. It would be important for people to understand before entering this market, right? So there might be some the quote unquote government's incentives or encouragement. Government would encourage you to do something. If government is encouraging you to do something later, the same government can do a lot of funny things for you. Challenges and some challenges away, since that already happened, right? And there's an article, another article about this industry and something that was happening in this industry. Let's take a look at this article. It's something that was published 17 hours ago. That would be China has finally removed crushing tariffs on Australian wine, but re-established us, ourselves in the market won't be easy. So they would say, I don't know the details. This is what this article says. I don't think that's what is really happening, by the way. They would say that China did something. I don't think that China did anything. I don't think China is a bad guy. But either way, there was a lot of things happening. Let's take a look at size of the market, of this market, and how overnight this market was crushed. How many businesses were affected, right? So that's historical data. It's very recent data, by the way. Australian wine producers will face stiff competition and a significantly smaller market. There you go. China's Ministry of Commerce has finally ended its tariffs on Australian wine, which has been imposed for more than 3 years and rated as high as 218.4%. I don't know all the details. I don't think that was the case. There was other things happening. There was other things which are left out, by the way. Okay, so there was action, then was reaction, there was action, there was a lot of reactions happening. But in the end of the day, a lot of people were making wine. They were not making wine anymore. That's what's happening, right? And the measure has been a catastrophic impact on Australia's wine exports. In 2019, so that would be about 5 years ago, Australia sold a 1.24 billion dollars. This is the size of the market that we are talking about. 1.24 billion worth of wine to China. Massive market, by the way, right? Suppressing France, which is a very hard thing to do, by the way, and capture market share close to 14% by the last year, which has collapsed to less than 1 million. So from 1.24 billion to 1 million. So this is what happened. Some governments. This is what those governments did to those business people. Because they could, right? A dream is to diversify the new market in the infamous, mostly fizzled last year's US import to Australia wine actually fell by 20%. UK held flat at sales to India remain trivial. Stubborn wine glut has pledged Australia producers as a result. The removal of tariffs has trivet industry hopes for some relief, but while they are being away, these have changed the Chinese wine market and challenges lay ahead, right? So either way, so there was 1.24 market. This is the market, by the way. So someone else had to fill in this market, right? More or less, right? And who was a winner and who was a loser in that situation. And perhaps, if anything, there might be some equipment. So let's bring it back home. Let's come back to UK. And if you're looking to purchase equipment, you can potentially purchase that equipment from the crushed market within Australia, which is not the good. I'm not celebrating that. Some people and employers, people, lives, and everything, income, everything was affected, right? But they might have a lot of equipment, right? Let's take a look at how UK's government would handle this kind of situation. But so that's a word of caution, right? Now let's take a look at UK and see how UK's government would handle this kind of situation, right? And encourage markets within UK potentially produce a lot of wine, right? English and Welsh wine has firmly made its name and home around the world in the recent years, and today, Tuesday, 16th of April, today's date, Environment Secretary that is the name announced for the support for industry to continue its rapid growth. The government has set aside 1.5 million. Okay, that's okay. 1.5 million this year for new future winemakers scheme to help develop skills and job opportunities in the sector and make sure the next generation of viticulturists can build on the success of the past 20 years. Okay. Because it's very hard, right? It's very hard, and if you hiring people doing all this kind of hard work, right, and later overnight, all these markets can be affected. The funding will be targeted at educating, training, upskilling, and businesses estimate that thousands of new vineyards jobs will be created over the coming years. The Environment Secretary announced new funding at the annual Wine GB conference at Plumpton College. Okay, UK Centre for Training for the Wine Making Sector in East Sussex today. Further details on this will announce in due course. He also revealed the latest steps in government's programs to reform and simplify regulations for wine producers and trades. So I don't know. I can reach out to the team. Perhaps there's something to do. It's just cautionary tale, right? So just be careful up there because some of the governments and there's a lot of things, right? I'm not covering in all the details, but some people perhaps, if we're taking a look at 1.24 billion of market size, it was crushed up to the point where it was perhaps a million only. So this is how much of the market was crushed. So things can happen, right? uh, we can reach out to some of the teams and see perhaps there might be some opportunities there. The new funding package will go towards delivering new courses at Plumpton College, develop skills and knowledge. It will also help to scale up training capacity to ensure a large enough skilled workforce available to meet the increased growth potential of the industry. The government's latest proposal for reforms for the wine industry aim to unlock growth, reduce barriers, and offer more choice to consumers. We can cover that, perhaps how wine can be done and how it could be. There's a lot of areas to cover, right? New rules to make it possible for new and or low alcohol wine to be produced and marketed as wine is responsible for fast growing consumer demand for drinking with a lower or no alcohol content, allowing transformation to or import wine. I don't know. I don't think importing is something that the UK is looking. I think the UK is looking to exporting it. But either way, this will unlock growth and all employment opportunities for UK business who will be able to carbonate and or sweeten wines here. Okay. This will encourage more wine to be imported in bulk, reducing shipping costs and cutting greenhouse gases emissions for the industry. I think it was some laws was taken into effect around the new year. So it was 4 months ago. There was some laws that government was introducing. So it's ongoing thing, right? Improvements for wine labeling rules will be encouraged to consumers to understand exactly what they are purchasing. For example, by requiring the term British wine to only be used for wine produced that are made here with the British growth grapes. The consultation will run until 10 of May 2024. It follows the initial phase of reform introduced in January, would include scrapping redundant rules of the bottle shapes and the mandatory mushroom shapes are stopped and falls for sparkling ones to reduce cost and support recycling. The government also announced December that the business will be able to sell a packaged still and or sparkling wine in the new 568 millimeter pin quantity. So it's something that was introduced previously, right? So this part was introduced, I think, about New Year. We're gonna have a meeting with one of the councils, right? Where they're looking at new opportunities. So perhaps there might be something there. I don't know what university or college we're referring to. I can reach out, see if perhaps I can help, but word of caution, right? So the summary of this video would be overnight they can build it, and the same governments can make some of the business obsolete, right? But other than that, perhaps new laws and opportunities could be introduced within the market where the particular regulations and source standards would be introduced and be highlighting where the wine was produced, right? And some of those markets and people take on the task entering those markets. Markets would need to be very predictable, right? So if it should be important if you would decide to enter this kind of market, you should know that for next 20 years it would be stable. All the things would be stable. At least it should be. But thanks for watching. See you next one.